Hello, Internet. This is Tom.
What's up?
He was in the last video. Don't you remember him?
I mean, you can't see him or hear him, but he was
hiding under the table.
You never hear or
like
see
Monica
me coming,
Lewinsky.
but you know I'm there.
Wow. Okay, we got Monica Lewinsky in here. Nice.
Yeah.
I just butchered her last name. I'm happy
It's
about
fine.
that.
Don't worry.
If you're gonna bring her up, you gotta do like Bill Clinton. You gotta not have sexual relations with that woman.
Not have sexual relations with this woman. Anyway, we're here to talk about some problems in the world.
I'm not a woman.
Oh, Christ.
We're here to talk about some problems.
Mainly in the world of movies, right?
Horror movies.
Horror movies and horror films.
What's the difference?
One sounds more
Less
pretentious.
Literally just talking. We're here to discuss some problems in the world of modern horror and what's wrong with horror films today.
It would be way easier in a way shorter video if we just did what isn't wrong.
Yeah,
what
that's
isn't
actually
wrong with
true.
horror
There's a
today.
lot wrong with horror today.
Yeah, well,
Because there's no creativity.
How many paranormal activities did we get?
Don't even
6.
get these that's another video.
well, so I'm going to pose a question. I posed this question to you a couple days ago on Facebook. Why, back in the day, in the 70s and 80s, when there were horror remakes, why were they praised back then, or why do you think they were praised back then and then so reviled and hated now?
Because there wasn't as many of them. It was
Very
way
true.
more rare.
I completely agree.
I mean, I'm obviously I'm not the editor of Fangoria magazine, so I'm not a horror expert, but I consider myself a big fan.
Yeah.
Thinking of the remakes back then, I can only think of The Thing,
The Fly.
The Fly.
There were others.
Yeah,
House on
well,
Haunted- House
obviously,
on Haunted Hill was
but I'm talking
remade.
about like the big. Well, that was like '99.
Dracula, probably.
Yeah,
like
well,
6
that's what I'm
times.
saying. The horror movies were being remade
Yeah.
back then too. So
Also, I feel like the time in between, like the remake and the
Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
No.
that's also
bigger.
very
It wasn't. Oh, hey, it's been 10 years.
The thing from Another World. Howard Hughes'
51.
First movie was 51. The Carpenter remake was 82.
yeah,
There's
that's 31 years.
30, that's enough. That's enough time to pass. What the fuck just happened? There was something just got remade, and I'm trying to remember what it was. But there was like
there's too many to even.
Keep track of at this point.
It is. It's ridiculous. Okay, it's getting watered down because everything's getting remade, and it's very obviously showing that not a single person in Hollywood has any creative thought left in their mind.
No, it's not that. It's that they fear creative thought.
Remakes are just too much of a, and there's too much of a. It's too much of a. They all have like a quick feel. They all have a thrown together real quick to amuse the Friday night crowd.
I want to expand on what you just said because I do agree with all of that in the sense
I've got
that
something too.
I think that a big difference is the fact that remakes back in the day, like The Thing, The Fly, etc., were all made not only to be a brand new take on existing films, because they were drastically different from the original
That is
films.
exactly what I
absolutely.
wanted to say.
They were also being made for love of the original films and care about what's being put out.
Exactly.
A great example of that now being Evil Dead, the remake.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
where
that was a good
it's a
remake.
film being made with respect and love for the original, rather than a film
Absolutely.
being thrown out for the sake of
I could
making
not
money.
agree more.
Hey, look, Friday the 13th. Everyone will buy this.
Exactly. So you said you had something to say on that.
Oh, no, actually, exactly what I was going to say was what you just said, where it's the original film had a very, very different feel from the remake of it, whether it be The Thing from Another World and The Thing and so on and so forth, where it was just a drastically different movie. It kept the concept, that's about it. And
Exactly.
so it showed more creative thought, it showed more care, it was just overall a much more difficult process.
Now
to
look at
go
the
about.
director, and I'm sorry. Now this is also just a personal opinion. This has no factual basis. But look at the directors that were hired back then to do the remakes. John Carpenter did The Thing. These guys did it.
David Cronenberg did The Fly.
These guys did it out of. These guys probably approached the studio with the idea to remake it. Now studios are like, Jesus Christ, we need money. You there, remake Friday the 13th.
They
do
look at the
something,
properties they own, like, oh, we own The Exorcist. We own the rights to The Exorcist. We haven't remade that yet. Poltergeist is another good example.
I could use a Christmas.
I can go on a
bonus.
rant about that. I think we pretty much touched on the problem with remakes then.
Yes, yeah.
All right, can I bring up the next issue?
Sure.
Found footage.
Yes and no.
The elephant in the room.
I don't want to get into this too much because I do want to do a video on found footage as a subgenre at some point.
Okay.
But I will say, found footage can be effective. Can
No,
be.
yeah,
Yeah,
Actually,
keyword,
Blair Witch.
like Blair Witch,
Blair-
Cloverfield, unpopular
Clo-
opinion.
no,
I love
Cloverfield's good.
Cloverfield. I love
Great movie.
Cloverfield.
Cloverfield was good.
Or even the first Paranormal Activity.
Yes.
The first one, not
I-
the other
I-
five.
I will throw that out there. I went to see, if I'm not mistaken, you and me went to see Paranormal Activity 1 when it came
Way
out.
And I
back
remember
in the
you
day.
telling me
In
about it the
theaters.
next day, and you were like, it was
It
terrifying.
was good. It was very good.
Yeah.
And then 2 came out, and I was like,
2 was okay.
all right. 3 was sort of, for me, I was like, all right.
I preferred 3 to 2.
4, I
personally,
got...
Honestly, they have the same movie to me. I can't even
but
differentiate.
4, 5, and
them in my head.
4 was where it started going downhill for me. Didn't see 5 or 6.
4, I got 20 minutes into, and I said,
Yeah, I just remember. I don't know.
shove it.
We're getting into too much into Paranormal Activity. Like I said, it can be effective if done properly.
Well, absolutely.
However, it seems like a low-budget way to make a horror
Well, that's
movie,
exactly what
which
it is
why
now.
it's
When you
flooding
have
the
movies
markets.
like The Gallows,
I didn't see that. I've
it
heard
was
bad
trash. It was appropriately named The Gallows because it made me want to kill myself. But
Oh, zing!
Just like in the forest. Throwback.
oh man, yeah, no. The Gallows was awful. But the problem with found footage is that it's now used as a gimmick because filmmakers can make whatever movie they want on the budget of $3.
Exactly.
Because you don't have to show anything. All you have to do is wave the camera around and be like, "Oh, we're making a movie." So I think that's the problem
Yeah.
with it.
Let's touch more on this in another video.
Yeah,
Just-
that's okay. That's
before we do 5.
It is the market is oversaturated. with
Yeah, it's
found footage.
oversaturated because
No,
it's
yeah,
cheap medium.
it's almost the same thing with remakes. It's just
There's too many.
beaten to death. Remakes and found footage are not bad in moderation.
Well, and that brings me to our next point: jump scares.
Again, not bad in moderation, but if your
And
movie
when used
relies on it,
effectively, but when every
They've existed through all time. They've existed
but
since the oldest horror films. But the problem is, those horror films had an overarching sense of like dread and uneasiness to them. House on
Exactly.
Haunted Hill being a perfect example. The old lady, the blind old lady.
the caretaker.
Yeah,
The House on Haunted Hill.
the House on Haunted Phil.
I'm just picturing Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel
Oh
Air.
no. Not to divulge too much, but House on Haunted Hill from, I want to say 59. That's
59.
one of, if not my favorite horror movie of all time.
Really?
I'm a huge Vincent Price fan.
didn't know
That was a perfect example of a jump scare. I'll never, because that not only stuck in my mind, but the feeling, I remember that scene of that being so tense, of that girl looking for the stud in the wall and turning around and it just blindsiding you with her out of nowhere. That's effective. A main character walking into a dark room, like you said, like we were talking before, the main character walking into every other fucking dark room and getting a cat thrown at him that's not how it works.
Throw it at them.
I agree, though.
You know I'm a Friday the 13th junkie. That's my favorite slasher series. But even in 2, that you watch they literally throw a cat through a window. You can
Wait,
see
is
a
that
cat.
actually something that happens?
Yes.
I've never seen that
But
movie.
the first 5 minutes, a cat comes rocketing through a window. Not jump, like literally fucking football, go long and throw.
I agree with you what you're saying in the sense that there's so many. The idea of false scares is so. How many times do we see it in modern horror when the character's in the bathroom mirror and they bend down and they look up and somebody's in the mirror,
Or open the
And
mirror.
it's like
open up and close it and there's somebody there.
And it's like their significant other or their best friend or something. It doesn't actually fucking matter. Not,
Exactly.
You know,
Nothing that's
it's
scary.
not Psycho. It's not
not
the
scary.
goddamn dagger.
And it's accompanied with that loud stinger buh noise, and it's just really
Oh my-
obnoxious,
It
and
sucks.
it doesn't scare
it's
the
just-
audience. It makes them jump because you're having something thrown in your face and hearing a loud noise. You're not.
Yeah, that's biology.
That's a
anything
physiological response to
Not-
danger.
yeah.
Danger. Sorry.
else.
And-
Also, though, I just feel like there are too many movies on the market these days that use solely jump scares. Like they have no sense of dread,
Nightmare on
no
Elm
sense of
Street's remake.
tension. Yeah, that.
Oh,
was a
yeah.
good one.
There literally was one about every 3 minutes.
No,
I remember.
And it's just you're relying on jump scares as your main source of this is a horror movie.
Rather than atmosphere and creating tension through both what's happening on screen and just the atmosphere of the whole film.
It doesn't add anything; it takes away, unless used very well.
Yeah, exactly.
Agreed.
It's like hitting your peak too early, and then it just removes any sense of.
All right, enough with
Enough with jump scares. What are
3D.
That's just a 3D.
That's just a gimmick in
But
any
no, it's
genre.
general,
That's not
right?
just a
Yeah.
horror.
But it's showing up so much.
Is it?
It's like
when was the last
actually, no,
3D
it's
horror
not so
movie?
much right now.
Still, if it-
it
Oh
was.
no, Paranormal Activity 6 was 3D, I think.
So was My Bloody Valentine 3D.
That was-
And there's speculations about the next Halloween installment.
That's
being-
Yeah.
true.
The
That's
3D
true.
gimmick is like if like
Wasn't there also Friday the 13th 3D though?
that was rumored. Well, the three. The,
No, back
yeah,
in the
no,
day,
yeah,
back in
part
the day.
3. Well,
Yeah.
that was just cheesy 80s.
Yeah, but
gore.
the thing is,
That was
it's
just
been around for
beautiful.
a while now.
But like as of recent, it's like if Hollywood, if the film world is just, I don't know, the Gulf of Persia, Hear me out.
Even
Does
have a
Persia have a
Gulf?
Gulf? I don't
Persia
know.
doesn't exist anymore. It's Iran now. I
If,
believe.
if it's the fucking Red Sea, whatever
Saudi Arabia.
whatever gulf
I
of
forgot.
water you want it to
I
be,
just learned this.
3D is like an oil tanker that just exploded, and that oil is just seeping into every fucking genre in the
You know
area.
what would have been a
that.
Horror being
better? You know what would
included.
have been a better analogy?
What?
If the movie genre is the Gulf of Mexico, 3D is the
BP
BP oil
oil
There's
spill.
the oil rig. Perfect.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
My point is,
I'm gonna make a
3D
diagram of
is
that in post.
creeping. 3D is creeping into every genre, and horror is not immune to it.
I
now,
agree.
I'll admit, back in the day,
Jaws
Again,
3D.
no, I
Oh.
love Friday the 13th Part 3. Part
Okay.
3D.
Fair,
That
that's
is
a better example.
I'm a sucker for cheesy 80s slasher B movies and any B movies in general. That is me in a nutshell. Grindhouse, you name it. Jaws 3D is that'll give me an aneurysm talking
We'll
about
get to that eventually.
But those at least like were border, but that was the 80s. Like 3D was like technology wasn't advanced back then.
And it was very
so it was
corny with
like
things being
it was
like-
hokey, but you expected it to be hokey. Exactly. But you expected that because it was 1982. We're in 2016. We're fucking cloning sheep out of soda cans. We're
We're doing what now?
we're doing so-
Well, we
we're-
are cloning sheep. I don't think it's out of soda cans.
we're doing something along those lines. The point is, it's not.
We're turning sheep into soda cans.
We're far beyond.
We probably are.
Anyway.
We're far beyond that. We don't need that anymore, and it just doesn't look good.
Saw 3D is another good example of that.
I hate Saw in general. That's a whole.
I love the first one. The first one's excellent. But yeah, that kind of led into, because me saying that led into what another thing I wanted to bring up is that, and this really isn't just modern day horror. This has always been a problem.
No.
Sequels and continuations.
Sequels and continuations, yes.
Looking at you, Jason X, even
it's
though
been
you're
a-
not modern.
It's been a thing forever. Every movie gets a sequel at some point.
I know it's
Well,
so
not every
modern.
movie, but most movies do.
Okay, dude, the fact
I
that
was just saying, don't trash on all
Well,
the Friday the 13th
I'm just saying that-
because I love
I
Friday's
just-
my series.
I'm just saying that it's
Most-
still present in modern day, and not just horror, everywhere, but it's getting to a ridiculous point. The Conjuring did not need a sequel.
No, it didn't.
No,
I'm
it's-
not. I'm excited to see it. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna go see it. It's not necessary.
It's not
I'm only
necessary
excited
at
for
all.
it because the first one was so good.
The
But at
Conjuring-
same
the
The
time,
first
it
one was good.
phenomenal.
James Wan's coming back to horror, so those are both good things. But that trailer was
Yeah, the
really
trailer looks
mediocre.
Oh, it was a trailer. Oh,
It was a trailer.
I'm the.
You're the odd man
I'm the
out.
ignorant one.
You're the asshole.
I haven't seen the trailer.
Shut
yet.
Well, like another good
No.
example is like The Woman in Black, which didn't
Why
need
does
a
this
sequel.
keep coming
'cause
up?
Fuck the sequel.
Greystone Park.
The
No, not
sequel
Greystone Park
fucked
didn't-
with the lore.
No. Fucking no. Grave
Grave
Encounters.
Encounters. I was like, Greystone Park doesn't need to exist in the
Oh
first
my
place.
God,
Greystone
Grave
Park
Encounters
was-
too.
Did you see Greystone Park?
Made me want to eat a 12-gauge dinner.
Grave Encounters did not need a sequel. I
No, it
agree.
didn't.
Grave Encounters sequel doesn't exist. But yeah, it's this constant attitude of Hollywood needing to milk every franchise that
Exactly.
exists for all that it's worth.
There's like a certain there's like a certain threshold. If it gets like a hair above
What-
successful, sequel
Well, if
go.
it makes back its budget and $1 more,
Exactly, sequel.
That
we
dollar
gotta
goes
do it.
towards
That's
the
what-
sequel.
yeah, that $1 goes toward the sequel, and then they made the sequels just as bad as the first one, or ruins the first one. Exactly.
Woman in Black too.
I never
Also,
saw
while we're on
True
the topic of sequels, can we also talk about fucking prequels? I'm sorry, I do not like prequels. That's
It
a
depends
personal
on the
opinion.
movie. I think with certain films it works.
The
I like
thing-
Insidious Chapter
the
3.
thing wasn't
Insidious
bad.
Chapter 3 was okay.
The
It was
Thing-
nowhere
the
near as
Thing
good as the first
remake-
time.
I have mixed feelings. We'll get to
The
that
only thing
eventually.
that annoyed me about the Thing prequel was that they really amped it up in the horror community. I'm talking about from being like online. What?
Which gets us to another good point. We'll get
Mhm.
to that in a second.
I'll pause on that for now. We'll segue that. What I was saying about the Thing prequel is I thought it was a decent movie, but what pissed me off so much about it is that being a horror fan in the age of the internet with all forums and being able to converse with other horror junkies and nuts, it was so amped up to be, oh my god, this is going to be the film that brings the genre back to practical. This is going to be, it's all practical, it's all good, it's all real good gore, everything. And it wasn't. It was like, maybe, if I'm being generous, if I'm being generous, it had 40% of the effects.
what's
were
even-
If they did because from what I understand, they did go mostly practical, but then they drowned all the practical effects in
And there were a lot
CGI.
of scenes where there was practical made for it, and then they went. Actually, a direct quote I read somewhere, I forget where, but it was from one of the people who was making the special effects. Was he made a great effect, and the director went, "But it only works from that one angle."
Then you get it from that one
he
angle,
said,
asshole.
You only need it from that one angle. So the director went, no, we'll just CG it. And what did they CG it? They CG'd it from that angle.
They CG'd everything in that movie. It was drowned in CGI, and that's another huge problem, is CGI.
Yep.
So...
CGI is... Because it's a cheap cop-out,
Anything we gotta... Yeah.
CGI.
It's a cheap cop-out, and it's eliminating jobs.
Yeah.
No one is going to fill Tom Savini's footsteps if there's no opportunity to. Tom Savini's job in today's modern horror world does not exist. The legend that Tom Savini is, if he was born 3 decades later, no one would know who the fuck he was, because he wouldn't be anything. He would be nothing.
It's becoming a huge problem because so many huge studios now have this awful, ridiculously fucking stupid tendency to rely wholly on CGI, when CGI was always invented to enhance, not create.
Exact. CGI was invented to help do the
Push
impossible.
it over to realism.
When you got to the point that you were like, okay, we can't destroy the city of Los Angeles.
Exactly.
We can't do that for an earthquake movie. That's what it was invented for. It wasn't for making a machete wound as violent and gory as it could possibly be.
Or the new trend, CGI blood, which Texas
Yeah,
Chainsaw
yeah,
3D. That was
absolutely,
that I had that.
Yeah, not a horror movie, but fucking Liam Neeson's newest movie. What
I
was
didn't
it?
see
It
it.
was
Taken
really-
3?
No,
Taken
no,
7? Stop Taking My Daughter?
Not newest. Walk Among the Tombstones. There was a weird ass
okay.
scene where blood is dripping down the stairs and it's so painfully CGI. And it's just like, why the fuck didn't they just like drop red paint or something? It would have looked better.
It's just... It'd be cheaper,
Corn
too. Which
syrup.
Yeah, right? That's the weird thing. It makes no fucking sense.
corn syrup, red dye, black dye, 60-40 proportion. That's all you fucking need. It looks real.
60, 40, and what?
No, 60% black, 40 red. That's the.
Oh, where's the
proportion
corn
of it.
syrup? Oh, the corn syrup is just for thickness?
I forget the measurements for corn syrup, but I know like the percentage of blood to red is it has to be a
Makes it
little bit
well
more
done.
darker than red.
Ben Nye stage blood. It's flavored,
That too.
and it looks real, and it dries like regular blood. It's really cool.
Spirit gum remover will save your beard if you
We
ever
are
get
getting
latex in it.
so far off topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, the point is, CGI, using CGI to create something can be really cool in certain instances. Like
Yeah, agreed.
Godzilla nowadays.
But yeah, you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna make Godzilla. You're
2014
not gonna build a fucking 20-story tall.
The 2014 remake of Godzilla, or the American version of Godzilla, was fantastic. It was some of the best effects I've ever seen. But had that been able to be done with, like, practical effects, if they were going for the man-in-suit approach...
Oh god, no. Never again.
No, they're doing that now, but they're blending it with CGI. In Japan. Japan's making a new Godzilla movie next year. Man-in-suit
Japan's natural.
and CGI. Both combined. That's going to look excellent. So... I think in certain instances it works. Cloverfield is a good example too.
Yeah, Cloverfield.
When you're creating things that cannot physically, like you were saying, when you're creating things that you cannot physically do through practical effects.
You are not going
It
to
works.
behead the Statue of Liberty and launch the head.
Precisely. But in cases of horror, when you're creating some sort of wound or you're creating some sort of creature that can be done through practical effects, there's no reason
to.
There's no reason for CGI whatsoever.
I mean, maybe to enhance, but
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
But
It's
it's
all
lazy. It's lazy
That's what I'm saying, to
create.
enhance,
Yeah,
not
to
to-
enhance, not to create. And it's kind of really pointless because you're spending so much more money creating something through CG that you could be spending on practical effects would probably be cheaper.
Which would
Yeah.
look better.
Yes, The Thing is a great example of that. The Thing, 1982's The Thing, are
Oh.
still to date some of the best practical effects in history.
Absolute, a godsend, absolutely. And that wasn't. No, Savini didn't even work on
So
that.
you didn't work, and that's it's.
There's so many guys. Savini, Wayne Toth is another phenomenal special effects artist who, if Hollywood keeps going the direction in which they're doing, and which is just jerking off CGI left and right, these guys are going to be out of jobs. That's not.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
That field won't exist. The art and the skill
And
of
that's
crafting
horrible
special effects
because it's
is-
such a the things you can do with practical effects are infinitely more impressive than the things you can do with CGI.
exactly
Um,
originality.
Yeah.
Touching on what we talked about with the remakes and the sequels and stuff, because I just brought up off camera zombies, the theme of zombies. Everything is zombies.
Before zombies, it was vampires. But yeah, originality as a is kind of a problem is the fact that Hollywood is afraid of trying anything new.
Because it's all money, because they're not sure if it's going to bring in money or not.
Exactly.
And look at some of the most successful films in history have been flops
Blair
in the
Witch.
box office.
Or not even in the box office.
The
but
Thing! We keep talking about The Thing bombed in box
Oh
offices.
yeah, absolutely.
And then it became, people realized when it got to, when people
After the
realized,
fact,
oh
they
shit,
realized
it's a
it
really
was-
good movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even necessarily bombed in the box office, but like movies like Blair Witch, which is a completely original concept and had a very low budget, and people didn't. I don't think people really
Yeah,
had
that's
faith
true.
in it.
And
Then
occasionally, that's not to say that there's nothing new or original anymore. But most of the time you're getting them now is from foreign markets because they're not
Yeah.
run by Hollywood and they're
yeah.
bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
The Babadook is a good example. We'll get to your issues on it on another video.
We talk about like It Follows or something.
Well, It
something
Follows
better.
It Follows is very.
It's a completely original concept,
Yeah, I would
to
definitely
my
agree with
knowledge,
that.
at least.
No, it's there's nothing really. It takes.
The air is salty between you two. So yeah, there's just not an original fucking thought left in Hollywood anymore. There
Again,
just
it's
really
not the
isn't.
thought thing. It's not even the original thought
it's
thing.
that they're
there
afraid-
isn't a backbone in Hollywood anymore.
Yeah, that's true. They're not afraid to try new things that may or may not work. No one's afraid to gamble their money on something that won't work.
And sometimes they just take original. Sometimes, like, once in a blue moon, they'll have an original concept, and then you get halfway through the trailer, you're like, "This could be interesting." Suddenly,
The
zombies.
forest happens.
Well,
Oh, wait,
that's
hold on.
again. That I think that brings us back to the whole idea of that Hollywood is afraid to try new things, and the ideas you get that are good either come from foreign markets or independent films,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
because they're not bound by the stupid, big budget producers who are pulling the strings on every single thing going
Yeah.
on in the project.
Also, though, I feel like a lot of original concepts that do happen are just done like shit because they aren't given a much love, care, affection,
Budget.
and they're tried to make
well,
more
it depends
generic.
on the film you're talking about.
A lot of movies that are going to theaters are not like The Forest was an original concept. The Boy, which is coming out soon, is an original.
We
I
can't
concept.
talk about the
have
boy yet.
no interest in
I know,
seeing
but
that.
like
We're gonna anyway.
What's her name? Maggie. That's the only.
Maggie from-
that's the
yeah.
only reason
no, a
I'm
few
watching
other
it.
movies that came out recently were all like moderately original concepts. It's just that they were like beaten. The scripts were beaten with a hammer to go fit in this box. You need to abide by
And
these
that's
guidelines.
part of the problem.
Yeah, they're
That's
stifling
Hollywood. That's
cre-
Hollywood for you.
Any creativity that permeates the boundary that Hollywood has put up is just fucking beaten into submission and conform to what Hollywood
Exactly.
wants to see, to the formula that they have crafted in their heads that'll make them money.
Precisely. I completely agree with all of that because it's all about what will make them the most money in the end and not what will make a better movie.
No, absolutely. That's because it's not about making better movies anymore. Not even speaking outside of a horror context. That's just Hollywood nowadays. It's not. Film is not an art anymore. It's not a.
It's a science.
It's not a
In
way.
a lot of cases. Yeah.
It's not a way to express how. It's not a way for people to express a form of art anymore. It's a moneymaker. That's all it is.
In most cases, yeah, I do agree with you.
Yeah.
Like I said, the ones that are not made for that purpose are the ones that are getting independent releases.
Indie films are the only like.
Indie films, foreign films,
Although
occasionally
that being
the
said-
occasional Hollywood film, but not very
That
many.
being said, though, there's a lot of garbage in those markets too, but it's just because they're bad, not because they're unoriginal. Or anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's. Oh, you know, there's one more thing I want to touch on, and kind of links to that
What?
is the way films are marketed.
Too much reliance on social media and
Not
stupid
even
campaigns.
that, more along the lines of marketing a film as something that it's not in order to draw in a different demographic.
Oh,
Yes.
my God.
Which I don't even understand in the first place.
I'm gonna
What's
give
that
you a
stupid
great
concept?
example. I don't know if either of you've seen it yet, but Good Night Mommy.
No.
The trailer came out in sometime in October, maybe September, October. No, it came out over the summer, and then it looked incredibly creepy. It looked really it was one of the most atmospheric, like really unsettling trailers I've seen. Then you watch the movie and you realize it's nothing like it was advertised at all. At all. It is a completely different film than what the trailer made it out to be. And while, in my opinion, it was still a good film, but it was advertised completely wrong.
And they also play up. They play up in trailers parts that they know that like the target audience wants to see. My point and example being when Texas Chainsaw 3D came out. Who had one of the lead roles in that movie?
Trey Songz.
Who was the biggest fucking billing name that you saw in the trailers
Songz.
and every fucking advertisement? What demographic did I encounter
Oh,
when I went
remember.
to the
I was
midnight
with
release?
you. I was with you.
There's something wrong when I'm wearing a Texas Chainsaw shirt and decked out in Leatherface garb, being the nerdy asshole that I am, sitting at a midnight release, and the whole
you have
row
a
next
bunch
to me is taken up by girls in One Direction shirts, fucking texting their...
Squeeing over Trey songs while we're sitting there cringing.
Ugh.
It
That's
was-
why they rely on that. That like shit like that just bothers me because they don't care about the movie. They just want to sucker you in. Once they get your $10 at the box office, they don't give a shit what
like
the
the
fuck you
Texas
think.
Chainsaw remake.
No,
That's
that's
Texas Chainsaw.
this Texas
3D.
Chainsaw 3D, the one from like 2 years ago.
Which couple-
Oh, I remember you.
That couples
talking
like
about this
everything in this video that we've been talking about is like example.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw 3D is what's wrong with the horror world today. That is the conclusion
That's
of this
it.
video.
That's all. That's a
You know
fucking
what?
wrap.
To sum up
actually-
this video, watch that fucking abortion of a movie.
That was actually a phenomenal fucking closing.
That really was.
That is all we
That's all,
need.
folks.
That's it. Just fucking
Watch
turn
that
off the camera.
movie, you will understand every goddamn thing we've talked about. in
Turn
this
off the
video.
camera. We're done. That's,
Yeah,
good
that's
night.
really all.
Why did it take me this long to realize?
I think that he just summed it up perfectly. We don't even really need to say anything else. That's it. That's a wrap.
Roll credits.
On.
Dear God.
Leave a comment. Let us know if you think there's anything else like that. If you think there's anything else wrong with the horror genre that we didn't really touch on,
Or if you disagree with us.
or if you disagree with us on anything, and let us know why, because we want to hear your thoughts too. Like, comment, subscribe. We like you. Please like us.